Maze 13. On a chilly Friday the 13th, a group of adventurous college friends set out on an overnight road trip that would alter their lives forever. On their first stop for gas, one of them pointed out a rickety sign for a corn maze. It was late and the maze was most likely closed, but they were running ahead of schedule and thought sneaking in would make for a good laugh. Small hand-painted signs took them to the outskirts of town where the sprawling corn maze awaited. This was definitely going to make for some lasting memories. The maze was massive. Towering cornstalks loomed like titans in the moonlit night, casting long sinister shadows. Fueled by curiosity and youthful courage, they jumped a fence and entered the forbidding maze. Laughter and excitement filled their young hearts. The rustling of the dry corn leaves underfoot filled the air against complete silence. Soon, things started to feel ominous and eerie. The moon lurked overhead like a vulture awaiting its next meal. As they ventured deeper into the heart of the maze, the world outside seemed to fade away. The sky faded to black as the labyrinth engulfed them. A chilling wind floated through the cornstalks, unsettling their senses. Hours passed and fatigue began to wear on their spirits. With growing unease, they felt the maze would never end. The twists and turns had become a bewildering puzzle from which there was no escape. The shadows of the cornstalks grew longer, stretching like gnarled wings trying to ensnare their souls. This Friday the 13th cast its ominous spell as the air grew dense with despair. Their laughter had turned to anxious murmurs as a creeping dread settled into their hearts. Time lost meaning within the never-ending maze. No light, no sound. They became disoriented, unable to distinguish one turn from another. After what seemed to be days, the group finally stumbled out of the maze, but the scene before them was not the world they had known. Seemingly cast by a sinister incantation, the world around them transformed. Darkness enveloped everything. The night sky bore no stars or moon, an oppressive silence hung heavy in the air. The friends stood in a realm untouched by light, an abyss where despair reigned over a desolate landscape. Panic seized their hearts as they realized the corn maze had somehow delivered them into a boundless hell world. Desperation overcame them as they retraced their steps, attempting to re-enter the maze and escape the nightmare. No matter how they tried, the barely visible edges of the maze faded away as if it had never existed. Wandering in the bleak expanse, their voices echoed into the nothingness. Days turned to nights and their search for a way out led only to hopeless despair. Hunger and thirst gnawed at them. Their weary hearts were heavy with grief. Their minds tangled in disbelief as cries for help went unanswered, swallowed by the oppressive silence. The friends were trapped in an alien world of confusion and terror. Hope of returning to the world they had left behind drifted out like a lost dream. The haunted night seemed to have no end. Minds reeling, their worst fears began to take form. The sounds of sinister cackling started bouncing around in the sea of darkness all around them. The hissing cackles grew louder and closer. Were the sounds real? Was anything real? Exhausted, they ran as far as their drained bodies would take them. Almost in unison, they collapsed to the ground of the nightmare prison. The chomping cackles turned into breath on their necks. Groaning, growling mouths full of mangled teeth flashed from all directions. Just then, an unimaginable voice of doom whispered. "Finally, we've been waiting."